So this will be pretty short and raw because I'm at my home office here while the rest of the team offloads and ingests the dozens of hours of change my mind footage because of all the multiple camera angles. I know some of you have seen the teaser with the angry protester and the police officers because we got scooped on our own change my mind by by other news outlets, but that'll be up Wednesday. You'll have a little more context, and we have a few more coming actually down the pike. I want to talk about a couple things though. Also, that the camera might be doing this because my shoulder gets so. I don't know how people do. Do they have like a stand? Because it'll be doing this gradually. Wanted to talk about the really sad. It's just a sad reality now that you have a lot of conservatives out there blaming video games for these shootings. So I wanted to talk about the shootings in general, shoulder switch, along with the aftermath that we commonly see and why you often don't see me speak out so early. But before that, let me lighten this up a little bit. I broke my nose I think I broke my nose yesterday. This is a story that it's really just a testament to my stupidity sometimes. I was at the hotel gym and they had these, what I thought were medicine balls, right? So this was before the Change My Mind. And they were they looked just like not like old leather medicine balls, but they're kind of texturized, rubberized sort of balls that you would use for maybe like wall throws or ball slams, against the wall or against the floor. And I was in a rush. So I thought, well, okay, I'll grab this ball. I'm very familiar with it, a 14-pound ball, and I'll just do some ball slams, throw it against the floor. Turns out it was basically a 14-pound super ball. So I whip it down. My head's 2 feet from the ground, and all that right up in my face. And I must have just been on all fours in this hotel gym myself, just I would love to see the security footage. If we can, I'll call the hotel. If someone has access to the security footage, if you were the guard on duty, please send it to me. I was spitting out blood because I cut my lip and I was bleeding from my nose. So I don't know if you can see, actually my eyes are a little bit, I just touched it. That was stupid of me. But what happened after that, there was a bone right here it looked like there was this big bump in here and I couldn't really breathe until I just went in, and this will be a meme. I went in and I poked it and it went crack. And then I was better. And now when I breathe, it just feels like I have the world's biggest booger in my nose. So, I don't know. I think I broke my nose. Before we get to the whole video game thing, which is just so disappointing to me, I can't even put it into words. I will say this. I'm going to go against the grain here. I know it's really, really popular right now. The cool kids say, oh, thoughts and prayers. Yeah, send your thoughts and prayers sarcastically, insinuating that thoughts and prayers do nothing. I don't think I've been someone who's really offered thoughts and prayers a whole lot. I usually just offer prayers because I'm a praying man. I may not be popular. You may not like that. These are the ABCs of me. But you know what that is? It's like a Merry Christmas. It doesn't really mean anything. Someone's not doing anything for you. They're just trying to symbolically show you goodwill. And in this case, when people say, my prayers are with you, what they're doing is they're saying, this is a tragedy, the likes of which we can't possibly comprehend if our family members haven't been the victims themselves. I'm praying for you, man. It's completely out of my control, and usually it's married with. If there's anything I can do, if it's a neighbor, if it's someone you actually know, you can't really do that on Twitter. So I have no problem with it, and I will tell you, I am praying for the families of those involved. You may think it's useless, flying spaghetti monster. Well, fine. I guess I'm not one of the cool kids. But I will say this, right after, before the bodies are cold, of course you have Moms Demand Action, everyone just politicizing this, pushing the gun control narrative, and talk about fake news. Talk about fake news. I mean, I was amazed. I watched CNN for 6 hours in the morning after the Dayton, Ohio shooting. And we certainly knew a lot more about the Dayton, Ohio shooter. Self-avowed extremist socialist, Elizabeth Warren supporter, hated Republicans. Whereas the other guy from El Paso, it seemed like a racist, white supremacist, sure. Seems like he may have liked Donald Trump, but he also quoted the Lorax. He also was a neo-environmentalist who thought we were over-harvesting resources. So I'm just talking about if you're looking at a consistency of a worldview as to the reasoning for killing people senselessly in some of the worst tragedies we've seen in recent memory, the Dayton shooter is one that's pretty clear, but CNN, for our saying, we don't know enough yet. We don't know anything about the shooter. No, we did. And you know what else we know? We know that video games don't cause shootings. Sorry, I keep switching my shoulders here because I don't have a stand. I'm sorry, but my arms get sore. I'm a mere man like you. I'm really disappointed to see Republicans trot this out because you know what? This is how we lose. This is how conservatives lose, and rightfully so. And I've seen some people out there say, you know what, I really liked Trump until now we see these red flag laws. And, when you have the Republicans and Donald Trump echoing violent video games, and I can't refute that. I have no retort to that. You know what? All I can say is, yeah, I hear you. It's a really crappy thing to say and a crappy thing to do. To go out here and blame video game. I mean, who are you, Tipper Gore? What are we, Bill Clinton? Are we going back to Columbine now? We know there's no correlation between the two. Now, on a personal note, when I have children, guess what? They're not going to be playing, what's the rating for video games? It's 17 and over? They're not going to be seeing R-rated films, just like they're not going to be playing video games that are made for adults. I think that's a good rule of thumb, okay? And I don't think it's good for kids to be desensitized to any kind of violence or gratuitous sexual content at any age. That's a personal issue. That being said, to blame these issues right now, to blame the issues or what they paint as a gun epidemic, and it's not an epidemic. This is also something that bothers me. It pulls away from the issue that we really should be talking about. The United States doesn't lead the world in violent crime, not even close. Doesn't lead the industrialized world in violent crime, not even close. Doesn't lead the world in gun crime, not even close. Doesn't lead the industrialized world in mass shootings either. None of those things are true. But guess what? It's really hard for people like me and you to go out and make those arguments when unfortunately we're put on the defensive because people for some reason think that we're proxies or representatives of the Republican Party. I know I'm not. I am a conservative. I'm open about it. I don't cop out and just say libertarian or independent because I don't like labels. No, I'm fine with the label conservative. That being said, I'm not a proxy for Donald Trump by any means. But it removes our attention and our ability to cut through the bullshit when we have to address that. No, of course I don't agree with President on the video games. No, that's not the issue. I don't even want to have to deal with it. And you know what? Republicans, conservatives, if you are even remotely consistent in your ideology, you wouldn't put people in that kind of a position. I see some people, and this is one thing, the Trump diehards who support him no matter what he does, and they say, oh, you can't possibly understand the pressure. He's like, I get it. They want to blame Donald Trump for everything. A good example, it was, what's her name? Forget, not Brooke Baldwin, someone at CNN there yesterday. Polly something, I can't remember. She yesterday, watching CNN, she said that Donald Trump reversed a policy from Barack Obama that barred mentally deranged people from purchasing assault weapons. No, that's not what happened. Right? What actually happened was, this was a law that I think the ACLU even came out against, where older people, senior citizens who were declared mentally unfit to manage their pensions, they had been stripped of their Second Amendment rights. And that was reversed. Now see, that's fake news. That's the kind of stuff that we should be talking about. But when people who we hope represent our views to some degree, let's be honest, I don't think Donald Trump necessarily knows all of his views. I agree with a lot of them. I think he's done a pretty good job. I think he's done a crappy job the last couple of days. I don't even know what I was thinking. I was talking about something. This is what happens sometimes when I just am talking to a phone and this is so awkward when people talk to phones. I don't understand how they do it. But I do want to know what you guys think out there. Do you blame this on video games? Do you think that's a problem? Do you think you blame it on background checks, on the background checks that we already have? Do you blame it on the NRA? I think there is a component to this, and we talked about this that changed my mind yesterday. People don't like to hear this. They say, well, how would you fix this problem? You know what? You can't. If people are being honest right now, you can't fix the problem. You can't fix the problem of evil. You can't. And it doesn't mean that you're being insensitive. It doesn't mean that you're not acknowledging what a horrible tragedy this is. It doesn't mean that you are not willing to call out evil for what it is. But you can't fix evil. You can't. And certainly, you don't knee-jerk react because people are saying you need to do something now, and they push some legislation forward that would rob people of their basic right to self-preservation and wouldn't do a damn thing to curb the violence. Listen, we have over 300 million guns in America, okay? The vast majority of Americans of gun-owning Americans are law-abiding citizens. Firearms are used far more defensively than they are offensively in the United States. Even if you go to the I don't know, depending which statistics used from the FBI or CDC, 500,000 to 3 million defensive uses of firearms each year. You have countries with very stringent gun control that haven't necessarily curbed gun violence. We don't lead the world in gun violence. We don't lead the world in mass shootings, and we are very far from leading the world in violent crime. And you know what else? You don't get rid of video games. And you don't make video games the boogeyman of the day. I don't play video games. I've been thinking about getting back into it. Maybe I should. I don't know. The last video game that I really played I played Medal of Honor quite a bit. I played Halo, I played Star Wars Battlefront. I haven't played video games, though, in a while. And I thought, with most of my downtime, I tend to do nothing. I tend to just binge watch shows or, go to the gym or something like that. And it gets pretty boring, and it's just because I'm usually so tired that I don't want to play card games. I don't want to do anything that's mentally taxing. Maybe I should get back into them. I don't know enough about video games today. But I do know that you're not going to strip citizens of firearms. You're not going to prevent criminals from obtaining firearms. You're not going to stop people from enjoying and engaging in one of the most profitable industries in the United States. And by the way, that's not really a bad thing. When you compare it to drugs, when you compare it to alcohol, when you compare it to nearly any other industry of vice, I understand that some people have problems with video games. I understand that some video games are being marketed to kids when they shouldn't be played by kids. I understand that some people apparently can get addicted to video games. Maybe there's some truth to that. But it's one of the biggest industries we have. It's a wildly popular, an exponentially growing sector of I don't know if people call it the entertainment industry, if it's just media, or if it's tech. I don't necessarily know how you classify video games. But not only is it wrong to do, sorry, I'm going off on rabbit trails here again. I didn't really sleep much. We were flying last night for the change my mind. Not only is it wrong to do, not only is it incorrect to do, and I mean that in both senses. It's not only wrong in that it's incorrect, but it's also morally wrong to blame video games. It also is strategically a really stupid mistake. I think you lose a lot of people, a lot of new people who've come into the fold because they're pro-free speech, because many of them pro-Second Amendment, because they don't like the authoritarian left. They didn't leave the left. The left left them, the whole walk away movement. When you see a lot of these people now who are newer, who are into the fold, who are figuring out what they're about. Certainly if you look at more young conservatives or libertarians or right-leaners, guess what? A lot of them play video games. And right away you lose a whole swath of the country. And so I really hope that President Donald Trump, and I really hope that all the other Republicans there in the swamp right now, and it really was a swamp, gosh, I had to change shirts. I was a swamp when we were there in DC yesterday. I hope that everybody in the swamp gets the right consultants. For some reason they're playing by the old late 90s playbook where they want to blame natural born killers and Woody Harrelson in video games. And maybe they think it'll get the left off their tail from claiming that they're bought and paid for by the NRA, which of course they aren't. If you look at the money that goes around from big unions or Planned Parenthood, it's not even comparable. The NRA is just this boogeyman that they're trying to scapegoat. So they try to scapegoat the NRA and firearm owners. I don't want to see people who should be supporting liberty and who should be supporting, factual, cohesive arguments, blaming video games and making them out to be the same boogeyman that the left tries to do with guns themselves. How about we stop blaming inanimate objects and we acknowledge that we don't necessarily have all the answers. We'll do what we can within reason as long as it doesn't infringe on people's rights. But we can't always necessarily fix evil. It's unpopular. It's the truth.